Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to get started in just a few minutes, and we are going to learn all about Google Slides. My name is Dr. Casey Hutchinson. I am an instructional technology specialist for Newton County Schools. First and foremost, we are so excited to share with you a series of trainings on Microsoft and Google just for parents. This is a great opportunity for you to learn new skills about Microsoft or Google for yourself or to help with your students' projects and work, as well as anything that you may need personally. So, this is an awesome, exciting opportunity just for you. So, today we're going to learn about Google Slides. So, let's talk about what we are going to cover in this session. First off, you're going to understand what is Google Slides. You're going to learn how to access Google Slides, how to create a slides presentation, how to use the editing tools, and then also how to share a slide presentation. Now, sharing is super important, and we need to always be sure that when we are talking about a Google Doc or a Google Slides presentation that we understand how the sharing permissions work. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, you may be wondering, what is Google Slides? Well, Google Slides is an online program designed for presentations. So again, if you are familiar with PowerPoint, Google Slides is going to be basically the Google version of PowerPoint. If you're unsure of, well, what is the difference in Microsoft and Google? Think of it like this. Microsoft and Google are kind of like Coke and Pepsi. So it just depends on which one that you like. So in this series, I'm going to be working through various components of Google. So Google Slides is an online program for presentation. The great thing about Google Slides is everything that you do in Google Slides is saved in your Google account, your Drive, online. So the good thing about that is that you can access anything that you create in Google Slides from any device that has internet access. So you don't have to save your presentation to a disk, a flash drive, or muddy up your desktop if you have a computer. You can simply save your presentation in your Google Drive and access it from anywhere. So let's just say that you created a slides presentation. You didn't take your computer on a trip, but your cousin has a computer. If you log into your account, you can access your presentations, also your Google Docs as well. So it's super easy to access and it's super easy to use. So now let's talk about how to access. The first way that you can access Google Slides is to go into a Chrome browser and sign into your Google account. If you do not have a Google account, it's super easy, it's free, and then it gives you access to many of the Google tools. Okay. The second option is to go to slides.google.com. Okay. So, but to begin any type of slides presentation, you definitely will need to go in and create an account. Okay. Very easy to do. Now, like I said, if you have an account, then you can click on it's called the app switcher, but we like to call this the waffle. And this is going to be like your control switch. So when you click on the waffle, it actually gives you the access to all of the Google tools. And then from there, you can choose slides. So as you can see, I have already logged in with my Google account. And once I click on the waffle, then I can see other Google apps. Now, the last time we did a session, we talked about Google Docs. And you can see right here, now we're going to move forward with Google Slides. One of my favorite things about Google is that Google is very aesthetically driven with lots of icons, consistent icons that just stick. So for me, I am visual. So I know that if I am going to do if I'm going to create a slides presentation, once I click the waffle, I'm looking for the yellow slides looking icon. So it's very easy to use. All right, now that we've talked about what Google Slides is, how to access, let's go ahead and try to look at the platform together. All right. All right, just as I showed you earlier, when you go into a Chrome browser, on the right-hand side, you can see that I have already logged in to my Google account with my Newton County Schools credentials. I'm going to click on my picture to show you. I actually can see other options as well for maybe my personal versus my professional email, and then other emails as well. Now, like we showed earlier, if you click on the app switcher, which, like I say, is the waffle, I can see all of the additional Google apps right here. Now, this bar right here is a sliding bar and allows you to scroll down and see additional pieces in Google Apps. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Google Slides. Perfect. Now that I'm in Google Slides, you can see that I can start a brand new slides presentation from a blank presentation or from a variety of templates. So let's just say that you are helping your students create some type of timeline document, some type of project that's more like a timeline. So you might want to check out some of the templates, because if you ever have a hard time getting started, a template can possibly put you on the right track. Same thing if you have to help your student create some type of Picto project and you're thinking, I don't really know how to make this work. Pictures need to be different sizes. Check out some of the templates. They are just great ways to get started. Notice up under the options for beginning a presentation are all of my recent presentations. Do you remember earlier I said that anything that you create in Google Slides lives in your Google Drive or your online slides option? This is what I was meaning. So everything that I have created in my professional Newton County Schools account is going to live right here for me to access as long as I, number one, have internet access, and number two, log into my Google. So this cuts down on lots of moving parts, losing flash drives, trying to find disk drives, trying to, like I say, muddy up my desktop. So easy enough for you to access. Now, moving forward, we're going to start a slides presentation from a blank presentation. So to do that, I'm just going to simply click on the plus sign. Now, as you can see, this is a blank presentation with only one slide in the presentation. So from here, I can customize this however I like. And I'm going to go through several of these pieces with you. First off, if you notice on the right-hand side, you can see a variety of themes. So rather than thinking up some type of theme or just really getting caught in the weeds for a theme, you could come right here to the right-hand side, scroll down on that scroll bar, and look through a variety of templates that Google has already just placed right here for you to choose. So let's just say that I like this option. I can simply click it and notice what happens to my one slide. It automatically changes to that template style. Super easy, but if I don't like that, I could again just come down and click the next one, and it's again going to change that one slide. Now, if you're like me, sometimes you may find yourself getting caught up in the aesthetics and the way that this presentation is going to look. So I caution you on spending too much time on this, because again, at the end of the day, you want to be sure that you have the content in your presentation, not necessarily worry as much about the aesthetics or the cutesy factor of it. So I'm going to click back on this option, and I'm going to leave it here just to continue this presentation. Now, if you notice on the left-hand side, you only see one slide. Now, as you add additional slides in this presentation, they're just going to file right here. And this is called a thumbnail. And so it actually lets you see your presentation slides as you unfold. The good thing about a thumbnail is at any point, if you need to change the order of a slide, you can simply drag and drop one slide up, one slide down, and I'll show you that option in just a second. So again, this over here is really a great feature for you. All right, so now let's talk about some of the editing tools at the very top that make this thing come to life. First off, right here beside the Google Slides icon is a box that says Untitled Presentation. This is where you are going to name this presentation. All right. So again, to do that, I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to click at the very beginning of the word Untitled Presentation. And I'm going to call this, I'm just going to name it My Name. Okay. And as you can see, it changed the Untitled Presentation to Casey Hutchinson. Now, when I'm finished, I simply just take my mouse and click outside of that box. So I'm just going to click down here in my presentation. And notice, it just saves this as my name. All right, and look right here, last edit was 2 minutes ago. So as you can see, it's telling me as I continue to make edits right here. And it's updating any of those edits as I go along. So here's a fun fact. If you ever are working with your student, and you say to them, be sure that you save your changes. Be sure that you are going in and saving what you've done because you don't want to lose any edits that you've made. And if your child looks at you like, what are you talking about? Everything saves automatically. And then you're thinking, that's not true. Well, it is. In Google, everything that you do is saved in real time. I do not have to go to File, Save As, and save the new and updated changes. I can simply just continue on in my presentation and everything saves in real time, which is super good for me. Okay, so from here, now let's start making some changes in our document. All right, now remember, I chose a template, which basically means it's kind of giving me an idea of where to place maybe the title or other options inside of this presentation. It's basically giving me like a little head start, a little leg up on how to import my information. So let's just say that I'm going to title this All About Me. So watch what's going to happen. I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to click out again. And do you notice how it says click to add a title? If I click right here, I'm going to get some changes. So I'm going to click this and show you how we make some edits. So watch what's going to happen. I click here and then look at my toolbars. So let's talk a little bit about those toolbars and then we're going to start adding some text in this presentation. Right up under my name is a complete line of editing tools and help features. From File, Edit, View, you can read those as well. Now, File, obviously, I'm going to show you a couple of things here, is where you can come and print, make a copy, download, lots of options. Edit is where you can make some changes as well. View, Insert is where you can insert an image, a text box, a video, those kind of great features. Format is where we can make some changes to the format of the presentation or the specific slide. Slide is where you can add additional slides, make changes, and that kind of thing. And then obviously we've got Arrange, Tools, Add-ons, and Help. But notice what happens when I click onto one of the boxes that's already generated on this template. Look at this bottom layer of editing tools. Most of these tools are found in these headings here. These are kind of like shortcuts. So for instance, as you notice, I'm here inside of this box, and if I wanted to change my font type, I can change that right here by simply doing the drop down option, and I can make a change and I can actually type all about me. Okay. So again, these features here are just quick features for some of your major headings. Now, if you're unsure of what a picture stands for, no worries. Simply hover over the picture icon and it gives you an idea of what that function will do. So if I needed to add a text box, I could do that right here. Notice this is where I could insert an image. This is where I could fill the box with a specific color, my border color, border weight, obviously my font size, and as you see, these are pretty self-explanatory. So this is really and truly one of my favorite features inside Google Slides is I get kind of like another row of functions that are more like a shortcut is what I would call it. Okay, so let's just say I want to make some changes to this all about me. If you ever want to format text, you need to highlight the text that you want to make changes to. So for instance, if I liked the words all about me, but I wanted to maybe change the text font again or the size, I'm going to bring my mouse to the very beginning of all about me. I'm going to hold my mouse down and drag and highlight those words. Now, as long as those words remain highlighted, I can make as many edits to that all about me as I want. Let me show you. So if I really don't want to use this font, I could come and change it to an additional font. If I don't, I like that one, again, I could just try out several. If I want this smaller and I just kind of want to decrease so I can see it and see the sizes change, I could click the minus option. But if I already know that I want to have this a specific size, I could just click on the number and then change it from there. Okay? So you see how easy that is to make all these changes, and as long as the text is highlighted, I can make as many changes as I want. Okay? So very easy. So that looks good. Now, let's come down here and let's format this option. And I'm just going to write my name here, just so we can see some additional features. All right, so remember, if I want to format my name, if I want to format the text, I need to bring my cursor to the very beginning, highlight the text that I want to format, and then have at it, make as many changes as I like. All right, so I'm going to change this font as well. And then I'm just going to bring that up just a little bit. So I'm just going to click up to maybe 25. And how about this? Let's change the text color. Let's change it to maybe a red. Might be too bright, but let's leave it there. Okay, very good. So now you can see that I have formatted the information on this front text, on this first slide. So let's just add something a little fancy. So let's just say that we want to change the color of this text box, change the background color. Remember, right here is a shortcut. So if I wanted to fill that box with a color, I could simply click this option and then I could change it to like a light gray to give it a contrast. And it looks very good. All right, now let's add a second slide right here. So remember, there are a couple of options, a couple of ways that you can do this. You could always go right here to the slide tool in the editor toolbar and add one. You could come right here to your plus and add another slide. And there's one more way you can do that. You could right click on the first slide, and then you could add a new slide. Okay? So I like to use shortcuts. So I am going to right click and I'm going to add a new slide. And notice what happens. It adds a second slide right here in my presentation. And so notice how now I have 1, 2, and my thumbnail is going to increase with slides. Very good. So now let me show you one more thing. Right here, in my second slide, it's pretty basic, but because I'm using a template, I am quite sure that there are other slide options. So here's how we're going to see those. I'm just going to click on this second slide, and you notice how it's highlighted. That lets me know that I am working on this slide. And I'm going to right click my mouse, and I'm going to look at the apply layout option. This shows me all of the options that Google has kind of created for this specific template. Okay, so let's just say that I wanted to use this. Let's go back. I want to use this slide option versus just the title and body one that they put in the second slide. So if I want that, I simply click and notice what happens. It changes that slide to the layout that I chose. Okay. Remember, I said there's more than one way to do that. So sometimes people like to use this option. Remember, I'm going to highlight this, and I could come right here. And this is also going to allow me to see the additional slide options. So it's whichever way that you like best. I use a Bluetooth mouse, so I'm always back and forth with my left and right clicks. So that's why sometimes I think I just choose the right click. Okay, so right here, I can click on the text. Remember, I'm going to click out and show you again. It's going to always give you some type of option, some type of getting started, okay? When it gives you an additional slide, it's going to kind of say, hey, you want to say this? Do you want to say that? So that's why it says click to add a title. So I'm going to come right here, and I am going to say, let's say, this is about me. And I'm just going to leave it right here. Now remember, if I don't love this, this formatting option here, I could bring my mouse back to the very beginning. I could highlight the text that I want to format, and then I can change and go from there. Okay, and if I don't like the size, I can bring it down and go from there to where I like it. Okay, leave it just like that. Okay, and remember, if I want to be a little fancy, I can format this option, make it more of a gray color. Okay, super easy. So let's add one more slide and learn a few more functions, and then we're going to get into how to share this. So remember, if you want to add a slide, you can right click and add a new slide, or you could come right here to your plus sign, and it's going to duplicate the slide that you created in the previous option. Now I'm going to change this slide layout format. So I'm going to come right here to my drop down option and change this layout. I'm going to come back to just more of a basic option right here because I want to show you some really cool things. So I'm going to come up here and add a title. I love, let's just say, let's see, I love so let's just say I love, let's just say sunflowers. I love sunflowers. Now remember, if I want to make changes, bring my mouse back to the very beginning, highlight the text. I could change. I want all of my font in this presentation to be the same, so I'm going to go with this. And notice what happens because that is a different font. It changed some of the case upper or lower case settings. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to bring my mouse right in front of the O, and I'm going to take that L back and then make a capital L and do the same thing with my mouse in front of the U, bring the S out and make a capital S. Okay. I'm going to come back and highlight this and show you a few neat features. Now, if I want to make this in the center of this text option, I could look right here and see if I could find one of those shortcuts. And right here is your alignment shortcut. And remember, if you ever see one of these little drop-down little arrows, That is always a function. That means if you click, you're going to get an additional layer of functions. So watch what's going to happen. I'm going to click that and it's going to say, do you want it to the left? Do you want it centered? Do you want it to the right? How do you want this? And I'm going to place this in the center. Okay, very good. All right, so now I'm going to leave this right here and let's kind of recap, and then we're going to add one more thing, and then we're going to talk about the sharing permissions. Okay, so we have talked about how we're accessing. We've talked about how to start or begin from a template or a blank slate with a Google Slides presentation. We have used one of the themes inside of Google. We've started talking about some of the editing tools. We've added a couple of slides. We've formatted text. Now we're going to insert an image. This is very, very easy and you're going to love it. So if I wanted to insert an image of a sunflower, very easy to do. That is super easy to do. Remember, I could come right down here to my shortcut, or I could come up here to the word insert. Either way, you get the same result. So I'm going to click on the word insert here since I'm already there. And the first one says an image. When I hover over the word image, then see how I get another layer of options? So basically it's asking questions, short questions. You want an image? Okay, great. Well, where do you want to get that image from? Okay, so it just kind of layers from there. So always you can upload a computer an image that you have saved to your computer, to your device. You can get one from the web. Maybe you have pictures saved if you're a Google person already in Google. You could always use your camera if you're using a device that has an interactive webcam and take a picture. But I want to show you this search the web because this is so absolutely so amazing. When I click on search the web, notice how I do not leave my Google Slides creation. Google Images comes up on the right hand side for me to search an image right here inside of my presentation. So I don't have to go back and forth and grab a picture, see how it looks. It's just right here inside my presentation, editing presentation window. So super cool. So let's go sunflowers and see how smart it is. As soon as I wrote sun F, it picked it up. So now all of the images that are safe for us to use and import into this presentation are going to show up right here. Remember, we learned earlier that if you see this sliding bar here, this is just going to allow you to scroll down to find the perfect image for you. Now, this is again another one of those pitfalls for me because I could find myself searching images for much longer than I need to be searching. Okay, so let's just say that I love this image. I'm going to click this image and notice what happens at the bottom of my screen. It basically says, is this the one that you want to insert into your presentation? And then I'm going to say yes and just click insert. Now, look what happens. It says it's creating an image. And notice how it drops that image right here on my slide. Okay, I can do all of the formatting that I want on this to this image on this slide from here. If I feel like that the image is too large, no worries, I can change the size. All right, I can move it, I can drag it around, do whatever I want to. But just like we said to format text, if I want to format text, I have to highlight that text. There has to be a border around an image to format that image. So I'm going to click off of that image and show you again. When I just take my mouse and click on that image, notice how there is a border, a blue border with border points at various places on the image. This allows me to format this image right here. Okay, so let's say I want to change the size of this image. Super easy. Once I have my blue border, I can take my mouse and just come up to one of the corner options, hold my mouse down and just drag that image downward, and look what happens. It moves it, it changes the size and moves it to a smaller image. If I want to do that again, as long as the image has the border around it, I can make as many formatting changes as I would like. So I'm going to come and do that again, hold my mouse here and just drag down. All right, very good. So if I want to reposition it, it still has the border around it. So I'm just going to hold my mouse and just drag my image over. All I did was just hold my mouse down and drag it to where I want it to be on this specific slide. Okay, so it's super easy to add an image right here inside of a slide. Okay, so again, from here, I could add a border. I could do lots of options. Even if I came up to this and said format options, I could see that I can change, recolor. I could make lots of different changes here, make it more of a reflection, recolor it. Again, the options are they're endless, really and truly. But remember, the biggest hiccup is you can't make any edits to an image unless it has the border around it to let you know, hey, I want to do something to this image. Okay? Super easy. All right, so now one last thing, and then we are going to do permissions. Now, I am going to add a text box right up under this image and say something really quickly. So if I want to insert, I could come right here to insert, and I could add a text box. But remember, there is a shortcut right here that says text box. And so I'm going to click it, and notice what happens to my mouse. It becomes a plus sign. And I'm going to come right here up under the image and click. And where I click is where the text box is going to drop. But even if it's in the incorrect place, all I have to do is drag and drop it wherever I want it to be on this slide. Sunflowers are pretty. Okay, let's just say that. Now, remember, I'm going to make some changes. So I'm going to bring my mouse to the very beginning. I'm going to highlight this text. I'm going to change this to about 16, about 25. How about that? And then I'm going to change my font type. Okay? And let's just say all of a sudden I'm like, I don't think I like this. I'm going to show you one feature that's going to be your very best friend. And that is your undo or your redo option. So if you made an edit that you don't like, you can always undo really fast. And it will undo the last edit that you did. Okay? If you hit it twice, it's going to go back to the edit before the edit option. Okay? So that way you can kind of look and see, and you don't have to retype or change. Maybe if you're in the flow of doing something, it's real simple. So, but then if you think, I think I really did like that, I could go back and add. I could do the redo again, and it takes it back to what I originally created. So, super, super easy. So again, recapping, and then we're going to go to sharing. We've talked about how to start this presentation from a blank slate. We used one of the themes inside of Google, and then we talked about some of the wonderful editing options right here inside of Google Slides. We named our presentation, and then we learned about our best friends, the undo and the redo option, because those make it super, super easy. Now, like I said, this is going to be a great tool for you to help maybe your student do a presentation or some type of project at home. So this could be easy to access. Your students have access to this. I'll be honest, I use Google Slides in my professional work, but I also use it in my personal work. So let's just say that you're planning a family reunion and you wanted to create a slideshow presentation of the last few years of your family or the new additions to your family. You can use this and present this at, some type of family gathering or at a wedding or what have you, because you have access to it and it's super user friendly. Okay, so I hope that when you are learning about Google Slides, you're noticing how easy this can be to help your student, but also how you could use this maybe in your personal or your professional life as well. Last thing that I want to show you is the sharing permissions. Now, sharing is super important, super important. And if you are really not grasping all of this and you love the presentation, you love the tool, but you want to go back, re-listen to this part about sharing again on the replay if you need to, because I want to be sure that you understand the sharing permissions. With Google Docs, a lot of people get all nervous that anybody can access this because this lives on the internet. Well, they can't because you own this document. So let's go ahead and move into sharing. So notice right here at the share option, do you see how there's a lock on the word share? That's because this document is private. It's only accessible to me because I've not shared this with anyone. So, like I say, if I wanted to create an all about me presentation to share at a family reunion, I might not want to share this with anyone. I'm just going to present this at the gathering and no one needs access to it. But let's just say that your student created a Google Slides presentation and they need to share that with your teacher. You'll need to know the sharing permissions. So now I'm going to click on the word share and look what happens. You see there are two options on sharing a Google Slides. But here's what you need to remember when you share a Google Slides or a Google Doc for that matter. You need to know the who do you want to share this with? And you need to know the what. What do you want them to do with this? So the who, let's just say that your student created a all about me presentation for school and they need to share this back with their teacher. So the who would be their teacher. But then the what would be what does that teacher need access to do? To just view the document or to make comments, or does the teacher need to edit that? So that's where we need to talk about the sharing permissions. So first and foremost, I can look right here. If I just want to share this document with one person, I could use the share with people or groups option. Okay, so I'm just going to type in Jennifer Williams. Okay, so she would be my who. She's the person that I'm going to share this document with. Now I need to think about what do I want Jennifer to do with this document? Okay, so I'm going to come right here and click on, remember, the drop down little arrow is always a function. And here are my options. Do I want her just to view this? Do I want her to be able to comment on this? Or can she edit this? Remember, editors have all the power. So if you share an editor link to someone, they can completely change everything in your presentation. So be sure you know who you want to get this document and what they can do in this document. So let's just say that your student created an all about me document that's to be shared back with their teacher, and you just want their teacher or their teacher just wants to view it. You would need to change that to viewer. Okay, and this is going to automatically send a viewer option to the teacher. Really easy. Now, let's just say that I wanted Jennifer Williams to edit my document. We're doing an all about me with instructional technology, and she is going to come in and add 2 or 3 slides about herself. That would be an editor link so that she can edit the content. Okay, so that's super easy here. I'm going to click back and show you the other option. The other option is get a link. So let's just say that you are creating a Google Slides for a family reunion and you and 2 of your cousins are adding the slides and you want to give them a link for them to add 5 slides about their family. Okay, you can do that with a link as well, but you wanted to put this in an email so that you could give specific directions. Sometimes a link could be a better option if you need to give more directions, if you want to write out step by step, hey, this is what I need you to do. Okay, so let me show you how that works. So I'm going to click right here, share with Newton County Schools, because in Newton County, anything that I create within my professional Newton County Schools email is just going to be specific to Newton County Schools. Now, you obviously won't see this, but I can change mine to anyone. I'm going to show you the anyone. Yours is not going to have the restrictions that mine is going to have. So I'm going to say anyone with this link. Now, that's the who. What can they do with it? Again, the drop down option. Can they view it? Can they comment? Or can they edit? Remember, if I'm sharing this with my cousins and I'm doing 5 slides and they both are doing 5 slides, they would need to edit this document. Now, remember, editors have all the power. So if you and your cousin get into a big argument, they could totally mess up what you've done. So don't forget that. Okay. So I would change this to editor. And then from there, I can copy this link. And once I've copied that, I can email this. I could drop this link if I was in a text message, however I want to give this link to the people that I'm having to collaborate with. Okay, so again, this is super easy for you to use, and the sharing is great. It's just you need to know the permission. So I'm going to come back out one more time and show you that before we wrap it up. Now, notice right here in my sharing, I've changed the permissions to this. So this is basically saying that at this current time, the link that's attached to this document would be anyone with this link can open this, and they can even possibly make some changes. So I'm going to go back to my sharing. The first option is to type in specific people's email addresses and change their permissions from there. The second option is to get a link and then change their options here. Now, you may be wondering, when would I need the commenters link? So let's just say you created a Google Slides for a family reunion and you wanted your cousin, your mom, someone to proofread it. You might want to give them a commenters link so that they can make changes, just in case if you're like me, I get in a hurry sometimes and I make errors, and sometimes they don't get picked up with the spell check. So that's a great option if you want somebody to check behind you. Okay? All righty. So let's go back and wrap this thing up. So today we learned about Google Slides, and we learned that this is an online presentation tool for any person that has access to it, whether it be personal, professional, students, however you want to use this. Okay. We've learned that to access Google Slides, sign into your Google and visit slides.google.com. And once you've signed in, be sure to check the app switcher, the little waffle looking option to get to Google Slides. To create Google Slides, start from scratch or use one of the templates. Remember, a template is just like a story starter. It is a way for you to get started with your presentation. To edit Google Slides, use the editor tools at the top of your formatting option. But remember, some of those editing icon shortcuts are wonderful tools for you. And if you don't know what they stand for, just take your mouse and hover over it, and you'll get basically a word or two to tell you what that function will do. And the last, but I think is quite honestly the most important piece to this whole puzzle, is the slides sharing permissions. Remember your 2 questions, the who and the what. Who is going to access this document, and what do you want them to do with it? You never want to give someone an editing option if you don't want them to have editing rights. Okay, super, super important. I am so glad that you joined me today for Google Slides. If by chance you love Google, but you really are more interested in Microsoft, no worries. The first Friday of every month, we offer the same options with Microsoft. So what we're doing is we're picking apart the different layers, all of the different pieces to Google and Microsoft to help you, number one, help your students, but also maybe to help you as well. Because we understand that it takes all of us working together and contributing and helping each other to move forward with students. So we are so excited to offer you these 2 series. If you need to come back and rewatch this presentation, you can always do that in the Canvas course layout, or you could go directly to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Right there, there is a section specifically for parents. So you'll find this video right there. Again, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you very soon on our next Google session.